What are the successful criteria for product compliance?
I would say start with agreeing on your brand story first. Any discussion at the coffee machine, is this really relevant or not, that should be avoided. So start with that, perhaps write 2 or 3 slides on what you would like to say about your efforts to your companies. Don't put it away somewhere in the basement of your company. Ensure that it's connected to the management. It's not every day, but maybe every 3 months, review it, make it part of your what you call SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats. Yeah? Compliance should be part of the cost of doing business.
How is the outlook for product compliance? What are the top 3 trends?
We call it a regulatory tsunami because if you look at the number of legislation changes, it's a lot. But they're actually rewriting existing legislations to meet what you already mentioned, the trends. You asked for that. The trends are circular economy. We need to reuse the resources that we have. Second one is we need to be responsible about how things are made. You just cannot say we have a safe toy if it kills the kids that make the safe toy. So that makes sense. And I would say the third trend would be stop with making claims that are not true.
How to work on the battery waste regulation in the EU?
I would say the main focus for the industry would be on the power storage products. That is the largest growing business that is very close to the normal regular consumer products. And perhaps the small and light means of transport, like the scooters. Those batteries will be affected. You need to be able to say something about the quality of the battery. You can compare like an energy label, you get a battery performance label. Start to map your supply chain so that you know who is making what, and be a little bit patient because the battery industry has everything to lose by themselves. So they will start to be working on being certified at their end. So not scramble mode, but be very much alert.
How about the upcoming packaging waste regulation?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough cookie. No matter what the product is, the packaging regulation will hit everybody because the packaging is there. Most companies see it as a problem because they simply have a humongous amount of different kind of packagings that they have just collected on their growth way. They have not ever make a decision about what packaging we should have. We're using the e-commerce packaging. For that we use just the retail packaging. It simply doesn't make sense. I would say review your world first and reduce the number first before you attack the problem. And second, look, this is called the 20-80 rule. Probably 20% of your business is responsible for 80% of your success. For that 20% of the business, make a packaging concept and find dedicated packaging suppliers for that in the different areas, like in Canton province and in Zhejiang province. Just like IKEA does for lamp manufacturers. You can supply any lamp, but IKEA already picked out the ones that make the cord and the plug and the switch and the lamp holder because you're thin slicing risks.
How do we better integrate ESG or sustainability?
Yeah, that is, I would say just follow products. You cannot change the world if you don't wire money to something. Sending out forms and say, yeah, are you doing this, are you doing that? Yeah, you get forms back. But you need to set targets first. So first you need to map your supply chain and say, who are we actually dealing with? What do we know about these people? Are they actually already certified on certain levels? And how do they relate? That's my 20-80 rule again. How do they actually relate to my business? And based on that you will have to set your priorities. It doesn't make sense to look at the United Nations SDGs and say, okay, let's start with number 1 of 17, if that number 1 is not connected to any of the products. You have to remember that the 17 UN SDGs are connected to the new legislations. The new legislations is actually often rewriting of existing legislation to make those connections.
What is your advice on electronics compliance?
You mean for the electronic products, right? Look at repairability, especially the most expensive ones. It doesn't make sense to throw away a product if you have to, if you is actually able to repair it. That has consequences because you need to have spare parts maybe available. Same goes for products with batteries. Throw away a product that is very nice and still functioning just because you cannot replace a battery will be forbidden. And actually that legislation comes from battery legislation, so it comes with a kind of an angle. Resources, electronic products use a lot of plastic. Start moving towards where can we use recycled plastic. That claim need to come from a certified source. You need to consider that changing materials might lead to renewal of testing and certification. And then last but not least, if you are really in the high-end electronics, you will have rare earths being used and precious metals. And for those, look at circular economy aspects as well.
Your last piece of advice to us?
Don't be afraid. Business is about managing change. Don't focus on the number of things or the quantities of legislation. Focus on trends. Trends like transparency about what you are doing towards the market. Circular economy, reusing resources, limiting the use of resources. You need probably to involve stakeholders mandatory, but those changes are there. You cannot fix tomorrow by not changing from yesterday, but everything that has brought you here yesterday is the power for your change for tomorrow.